Welcome to Oregon Voters Digest, the program that brings forward the social and political issues that are important to people living here in the Pacific Northwest. And now, your host, Bruce Broussard.
Again, welcome again to the Oregon Voters Digest. I'm Bruce Broussard, your host, and by George, and by the way, I would like to make the very clear point is that we're having a festive moment at this point in time.
Yes, we are.
This is our second show now, but now we're riding into the getting into 24, 25, and during that particular time we had Christmas.
Yes, we
so
do.
Merry Christmas to everybody. We had that part, and then now we got the New Year piece.
Yes,
so
we
New
do.
Year's, that's what we're doing right now. We're doing New Year's. So we're transitioning. We're transitioning right now, and it should be a very festive time, if you will, for us. But it's like anything else. We got, politics is right into the air.
Mm-hmm.
It's huge. There's been a number of changes here within our area.
Very many, yeah.
And changes are happening now. I mean, it's really kicking off. I've never seen such a kind of an exciting moment, and a very active moment, because we've got a president to be, which is former President Trump now, and who's about ready to get the seat from now President Biden.
Yep.
If you will. I mean, I remember when they were changing those seats. Oh, by the way, I'm just jumping this thing so much as if the guy's like, he's been here. We've been talking about this for 20 minutes or so.
Yeah.
Right? But make sure I bring John in here, okay?
Happy to be here.
John Leuenberger. John is here, and as you can see, he's been co-hosting here with me, and we just had another co-hoster, Bob Williams.
Yep.
He was here, and we had quite a session, the three of us. But now John and I are going to just carry the ball on this second show aspect of it. But then, as I was saying, is that we've got an acting person, a person who to be president.
Yeah, President-elect Trump.
President-elect Trump, and the person who's sitting in the seat right now until about the 20th of January, right? And that's coming up. That's coming up
very soon.
But at the same time, it's as if to say the person who's going to be sitting in that seat is acting as if he's the president.
Yeah, he's making a lot of decisions.
He's making a lot of decisions. I mean, there's the whole issue with passing the budget, if you will, for this country, for that matter, and we should be getting some feedback now as to whether or not that's going to pass. And right now, they're having discussions on this piece. All kinds of things are happening right now, and so until the 20th. So we're talking before the 20th. Let's put it that way. The 20th of January, okay, and we're not there yet at this show, but by the time we do the second show, the third show, we will now have a new president.
No, I don't think. Well, let's see.
Because
this will, if this airs on the 20th or last week, 29th, 30th. So actually, it'll be a week shy.
Okay, good.
The transition of power.
Okay.
Or the changing of the guard.
Okay.
If you
Well, we'll probably have another showcase. So we'll probably have a fourth show.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll have a fourth show, and we'll talk a little bit about that, because we should be able to have gotten information on what transpired during that particular time to pass the budget.
Yep. So this one will air on the 29th, and the next one will air on the 5th. So we'll have one more before the inauguration on the 12th, and then actually two more, because the 12th and the 19th.
Yeah, we got to have the whole deal. So we'll still be talking.
Yes, we'll still be
talking about the Biden administration.
Yes, and what they are
and what
doing and planning on doing,
and the transfer.
And the transfer of power.
The transfer. And just little tidbits of it. That's what we're going to discuss now, and hopefully you, the voting public out there, and the residents, will basically can emulate us, so to speak. Get together with your friends and your neighbors, and sit around the table and discuss these issues that we're talking about, and come up with your own issues, because it's going to be very important that we really get the representation of the elected entities that we've just elected, because it's a whole new day, so to speak. And we need to treat them like employees. They really do. Yes. I'm not trying to down it. No, they are employees. They're getting paid. They're getting paid by dollars. You, the taxpayers. We are the taxpayers. And so consequently, we want to see these folks big time. and we want to help them out. We want to make sure that that platform reflects what we're all about. And that's a very, very important piece aspect of it.
It sure is.
So anyway, that's what we're doing right now. And you see John here, and I'm here, and we'll have people sitting in the seat. At max will be 3 people that we'll do, because we want to make sure we get everybody to be a participant and bringing things up that will get you in the discussion, and you actually forming a discussion with your own folks within your immediate area, whether it be your next door neighbors, or whether it be inviting elected officials to your home, or going to meetings where most of these folks are constantly trying to think about rerunning for office and things of that nature, and bringing back information about what had transpired, and in fact what has transpired on the issues that you raised with them individually.
Yes. Continuing to go and press them, kind of.
Exactly.
Press them and make sure that they are following what they say they're going to do.
Exactly.
It's a big thing that we, the people, need to do.
Exactly. And in fact, on that particular note, we were talking, in fact, on the last show, the first show, we were talking about former Congressman Earl Blumenauer.
Yep.
You know what I mean, and the fact that he was very, very much involved in the whole issue of the drug situation, and you can Google that. In fact, the way you can Google it, you can Google his name.
Yep.
And he's got all of his votes. You can look up his votes on different issues. You can look at the whole issue of the drug thing, on the marijuana thing, and you can get in those discussions. It's part of our economy now. It is part of our economy, and it's legit, and it's legitimate. It's a legitimate situation. But the key is that it might be legitimate, but it's these other issues that it brought along. You got my point? And how did we react to that? We react to that through all of the services, if you will. We created businesses. We created businesses, and it might be something we might want to think about that. You know, what comes to mind to me when they first started talking about this piece, and they said, well, what we're going to do, we're going to create businesses, and they developed the criteria to be for acquisitions and whatever, and there were some problems and some flaws in that in terms of who were controlling that piece aspect of it. And the users, naturally, a lot of them liked the idea, because a lot of these folks were getting caught and basically doing things under the table and stuff like that. But then there was another group of individuals that were selling it, and you ask yourself the question, a lot of times for young folks or people of color, but across the board, young people, okay, across the board. It wasn't about the color, it was just, hey, anybody for that matter. But they were making money, trying to basically provide for themselves, feed their families,
the
and
black
this, that,
market.
that. Exactly. So, but the fact of the matter is, we're concerned with the numbers of folks, if you will. And so by basically saying, okay, fine, we're going to create these businesses and whatever, they should have spent a little bit more time of basically trying to get those individuals that were selling that stuff in the black market, get them legitimatized. See, I think it was a good idea, get them legitimatized. And because I think some of the things that they were talking about, even to this date, was the whole issue of when they collect those dollars at that site, they don't have a bank to basically put it in.
They're not allowed to use the banking system.
They can't use the banking system, and that should have been discussed day one.
It should have been.
It should have been part
well
of
before.
Well before that should have been part of that discussion aspect of it. See, and I think the reason why that is if you notice, it was kind of like a closed session. Nobody wanted to touch it, so to speak. We voted. We did the vote. You know what I mean? We did the vote by mail. But the fact of the matter, you wouldn't see that person, right? You got me?
Right. Well, you know, it makes it kind of hard when, on the federal level, it's still a Schedule 1 narcotic, I think. And I'll verify that just a little bit later. But it's off the table federally.
Right.
And we have gone and used our states' rights, which are very important.
Yep.
That's where I think that lies, to decide that this is a crop that we want to make available to the people. But they didn't make banking allowed at all.
Right.
A lot of these guys are doing it's a cash operation. They have allowed some to use a debit. You can use your debit card, but you have to treat it like an ATM transaction. It's still a cash operation.
Right.
And that just is difficult for them to take home or to be able to deposit into a bank. They don't want your money if you're using it for.
Yeah, but it's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
How they passed a law and then allowed these. They passed the law, but taking out the success of it from a business standpoint. You got me?
Well, if I'm not mistaken, banks are regulated at the federal level, therefore they can't accept things that go against the federal law.
Exactly. Because before that, the folks would still take the money in.
Banks don't care where the money comes from unless it stops them from being funded by certain entities.
Right. So that's why I'm saying that if and I'm putting Earl back at the table as if he's here sitting with us, because now he chairs the committee from our perspective. You know, we're saying he chairs the committee that's going to talk about this issue, because he was the one that basically signed it. He put that piece together, and so consequently he could bring the discussions up. And that might have been some entity, that might be some rationale as to why he didn't make that part of the deal.
Yeah.
But maybe now, because of all of the issues that we're dealing with today, he might put it back to the table.
Well,
and make it a legitimate business. Make it a business.
I think it should be.
Yeah.
I have strong opinions on this. My father did as well. I don't think the government has any business regulating drugs or alcohol to any extent.
But John, is still a government of the people, by the people, and for the people. Let's not separate. I'm just throwing that out to you.
You're right.
You've got to put this on the table with the people.
I personally believe that all drugs should be deregulated, and the people should be able to choose for themselves. That whole agency aspect, which way they want to go. If they cause problems while under the influence of said substance, then they need to be taken care of accordingly. However, I just don't think that minor possession should put you in prison for a long time, and that's kind of what's happened.
But then you ask the question, why did they do that? You see what I'm saying?
Money.
That's what I'm saying. See, it's on the table, so we need to have that discussion. We can keep all the other. Let's just say, okay, fine. All of these things that's causing these problems, we've got to be able to try to start eliminating some of these problems. You know what I mean? And again, that source should be. You can't put another person out of business.
Right.
You see, and without giving them some opportunities to be able to access the business, because they're the one that's got the background.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Already. So let's make sure if we want to continue that path, that you got to do that.
Well, deregulation of drugs would cut into the cartel's business operations,
and which is a business.
You don't want to mess with the cartel.
But then that's what I'm saying. Legitimatize them.
Yeah.
Sit them at the table and figure, okay, fine. What would it take to get you a prominent business, and you can it would be worth your while, if you will. It'd be worth your while. You're making a living. Let's put it that way.
A legitimate living.
A legitimate living. But have the discussion.
Well, that's easier said than done, unfortunately.
But then, with all due respect, but there's a lot of other businesses doing the same thing, but they're part of the system. You got my point?
Yep.
So they got bank accounts, they got this, that, and the other, and my point is that you're not just going to prison for just smoking a joint.
You should have never gone to prison
you see
for the use of marijuana.
But under our system, it's illegal. Just like when they were selling tobacco, when tobacco was money.
Right.
And people grew the crop, right? They didn't go to jail.
No, they didn't.
And people were smoking. And now today, tobacco is saying, "Hey, no, we got a new system here. We don't want people smoking, but you can still smoke, but you're limited. And all that. It's a system.
Heavily taxed and heavily.
It's a moneymaker.
Regulated.
It's regulated, the whole 9 yards. We should look at it and do the same thing if we want to go down this situation. But on the other hand, if it's creating mental illness and a suicide, all kinds of weird things, and really impacting, if you will, our futures, our future young folks, if you will, because they were not responsible for putting this thing on the table and getting it passed. See, we've been having. I mean, I'm thinking about cocaine. I'm talking about the whole nine,
all of it,
the whole issue deal. And let's see if we can. Some people might say, "Well, gee, Bruce, where you going with?" No, I'm just saying, we legitimatized tobacco way back when. Let's legit. If that's the case,
prohibition on alcohol. Yeah, remember,
same thing.
Huge.
Same thing.
Money.
And we legitimatized that. Now they're putting sugar in it. It's all sweet stuff, and that really wears you out.
Yeah, sure. Well, you can go a mile on sugar. Sugar is so bad for us.
Across the board.
Very bad.
Even if you're not alcohol, just sugar. But that's an issue. But it's part of the system.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody got to have sugar. You have coffee, whatever you. You know what I mean?
The American diet did not used to consist with sugar. Sugar was not on it. Right. Sugar is very much on the table now. Right. And look at the health of the American people.
That's right. But guess what? They're still selling it.
Yeah, they
and
are.
People still make
There's money to be made.
Money to be made. Sugar cane.
Because it doesn't just go into sugar. It's sugar, the foods that. Sugar is very addicting. Let's be honest.
Right.
What comes along with sugar is this thing called diabetes. Diabetes is a booming business for the healthcare industry. Then you've got insulin. You've got all these things that trickle down from this one thing called sugar.
Yes.
Fascinating.
Right. Well, you know, when you threw that piece out, I'm going back to the marijuana piece aspect of it. I can still remember at one point in time we had a situation where it was being grown as a crop in Oregon, aspect of it, but at the same time they had the medical thing.
Yeah.
It was a medical deal. And why didn't they pursue that more, if you will, to kind of talk to in regards to health?
It's hard to
they still have it now.
Do research on a drug when it's a Schedule I drug. The university system can't get funding for one reason or another. I know that Israel, who has a robust medical system, they use medical marijuana a lot. They're doing a ton of research on medical marijuana, but that's because it's not so looked down upon in Israel. Now, I don't know if they're able to smoke it recreationally like we are in the whole West Coast and other states throughout the Union. But in Israel, they are doing research on marijuana. And I think avenues are being opened for universities within the United States to pursue marijuana research. I had a friend here from Utah a couple of months ago who told me that the University of Utah is heavily invested in researching marijuana at this point. And Utah's a pretty conservative state.
Right.
You would think that it would be the opposite. However, while I lived there, they passed marijuana as a medicinal drug. But in Utah, you can vote. The people can vote on something, and then the Congress or the congressmen within the state can say, actually, we're going to gut this entire bill and rebuild it to what we want. So it's a little frustrating for those of us who voted.
But they're having the discussion.
They are having the discussion.
They're doing the research, and at some point in time, they're going to legitimize. Some folks have invested money in this stuff.
There's no reason why it shouldn't be legal federally.
Yeah. But at the same time, but the aftermath of this stuff, what it's doing now, is really causing havoc in our futures as far as our future population.
Yes.
Our young people and whatever. And
yes.
And
it demotivates
population, big time. Because, folks can't have families, you know what I mean? The whole divide, this whole concept, the impact that it has on young families. You got me? And so something needs to be done, It's almost like the cancer thing, whatever, Everybody just keeps researching and making the money off the deal, but somebody's got the cure already.
Well, there's no money to be made in curing cancer.
But see, you never know.
There is no money. Look at all the different drugs that treat cancer, the chemotherapy options, radiation, surgical. In those three aspects, there's a lot of money to be made in trying to reduce cancer but not eliminate cancer.
Yeah, exactly.
If they eliminate cancer...
Look at all the businesses we'd be putting out. That's huge.
It would be massive.
See, I'm saying there is a cure out there, but if you don't have access to that cure,
right?
There's always a cure to everything.
Yeah, there is, there is, but will they give it to us? I don't think they will.
It's the impact on the economy, and I'm just saying we just need to include it part of it.
Cancer is a multi-billion-dollar industry within the healthcare system. There's, like I said, there's no money to cure cancer because once the cure is found,
guess what? Wipes out.
Why would you ever sign up for chemotherapy, for radiation treatment, for surgery if they had a pill that could make you cancer free? There's no money to be made.
Like prescription drugs, same thing.
Same thing. There are so many ways to treat an illness. When it comes to medicine.
Yes.
However, if you just do some life-changing or life-altering, eat a healthier diet, stop eating processed, highly processed foods, start exercising, start drinking more water, stop drinking sugary drinks, stop consuming so much sugar, you might find that your life is a little bit better than if you continue to live on those foods and substances and not live the healthy lifestyle that our forebears did before we got into this age that we're in now.
Right.
They grew their own food. They raised their own livestock. They were heavily involved in, by the sweat of their brow, they were heavily involved in what food was coming out of the ground and what they ate. Now you go to the store and you pick off something that has a shelf life of several weeks, and who knows what's keeping it preserved for that long. It's harmful substances that we're consuming that is doing more harm than good. I think we've gotten too lazy as a people. We don't work so hard at what we're eating or what we're consuming in our lives, and it's majorly backfired on us.
And especially the individual.
Yeah.
You see, the folks who produced it, it'll stay right where it's at.
Yeah.
And then those folks who are benefiting from that piece, from that piece, they say, hey, this is just no problem. I know I won't take it, but guess what? I own it.
Yeah, it's funny how they won't consume their own product.
That's right.
It used to be that if you believed in the product that you were selling, you would use that product or you would eat that product just as much as the masses.
Exactly.
Well, now it's more of what I said last time.
Money, man.
Rules for thee, but not for me.
That's right. Makes sense. Makes a lot of sense. So anyway, so I'm just saying, going into 2025, and there's excitement in the air. I mean, so I'm liking we're having these discussions as a result of this whole transition, the Biden-Trump thing. See, you got me?
Yes.
I mean,
and to go along with what we were just talking about, Robert F. Kennedy being one of the picks for Donald Trump for national health. Let's see, Secretary of Health and Human Services. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has the slogan, Trump's got his Make America Great Again. RFK's is Make America Great and Healthy Again. He has done a lot of research. He's criticized vaccines, and he's also said that chronic illnesses are from what we're consuming and what we're putting into our bodies. I tend to agree with him. I tend to agree that what we're consuming or what we're putting into our bodies is more harmful to us than it is good. I think we need to get back to basics. When JFK was president, look at how healthy the American people were. Look at the public health of children in elementary schools or in high schools. They were at their physical peak. Now, you look at elementary schools, middle schools, high schools, how obese is the majority of the student population? It's really sad. I mean, I've got a few pounds to lose myself, but if I was eating healthy, if I was producing the food that I was eating and not going down to the local McDonald's or whatever and eating what's fast and easy.
Yep, that's right.
And then if I was taking walks and drinking more water, how much healthier would I be? I think that's something that definitely needs to be looked into more, and I'm glad that President-elect Trump has decided to include RFK in his cabinet. I think much research needs to be done into why we have such a chronic illness epidemic in our country when other countries aren't having the same problem, but they're eating healthier in the same aspect. They don't have some of the chemicals or the preservatives in their foods that we do.
Well, you know, I like what you're saying there because, again, here we are going into 25, I mean, and we're having these discussions.
Yes.
So ordinarily we wouldn't have these discussions, you know what I'm saying?
No, but I think it's been on the verge. I think people they've been out of touch with what's happening. A good movie to watch, it's a Pixar movie. I don't know if you've seen WALL-E. WALL-E is about a robot who lives on a desolated planet Earth, full of trash and full of he's a trash compactor pretty much, and a cruise of people left the planet Earth, and they're all overfed. They're very obese people. They're floating around on these chairs on this cruise ship, and one company was in charge of feeding the masses. It's a fascinating thing, and if you look at that, we're kind of trending in that way. I hope we're not trending fully in that way. I don't want the desolation of the planet Earth. I love the planet Earth. It's so beautiful, and God gave us this beautiful place to live, right? So we need to start looking into what we're eating. We need to start looking into why these major players want us to keep buying from them and not locally sourcing some of our foods.
Well, like I said, that's why we're having these discussions. And I think it's a good thing to do. And I think the new administration and the new elected officials, things are going to happen, because a lot of things are happening across the board. I mean, there's this, and you know, just the things that I'm somewhat familiar with reference to the discussions it's having about the budget for the federal dollars to federal employees, and boy, I tell you, that's huge. Right during these festive time, they're doing this now, here in Christmas and first of the year, and here at New Year's, and and they don't know what to do. And then you talking about, and then there was the other end with some other entities. I think Starbucks is another entity that's striking right now. Striking right now, and how many people are pretty well addicted to that cup of coffee? I mean, willing to when they stay in line. Addicted. I mean, big time.
Look at how many Starbucks there are around the city. They're all over.
They're all over the place. And so guess what? So but now some of these young folks, a lot of these young folks are saying, well, I might be making $20 now, but guess what? But what about the profits they're making over here? Blah 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 routine. But you know, so those things are in the discussion. You got me? And we talked about the shooting up on as far as the
New York City,
the New York City aspect of it. So you know, you don't like the idea of seeing those kinds of things. That's some pretty heavy stuff. And then the other thing I kind of gotten out of that, just talking a little bit briefly about that, we have it even locally. People get shot and they get, you know, they're killed. You know, people just blown away, and then the person who basically get picked up for the situation, there's no deterrent for them.
No, they get let go pretty quickly.
Three. You know, they get the roof over their head and 3 meals a day and clean clothes and a little job to do at that routine. So it's a beneficiary, so to speak. I hate to put it that way. And my use of words is such that it irritates me. It upsets me to hear about it that way. The whole issue with with restitution and things of that nature, there should be a deterrent. So the deterrent, they've taken the deterrent. I'm not just saying, I'm part of this capital punishment aspect of it, but capital punishment, one recognized what that meant at one point in time. Today, that doesn't exist anymore.
No.
You see what I'm saying?
There's no repercussions for your actions. No.
And then you can go on a visual aid, movies and things of that nature, and it basically, it's kind of it glorifies it, so to speak.
Violence is definitely portrayed as a positive thing in the media.
Yes. And they don't understand that they are the culprit. But guess what? The person that's basically doing that, they're getting paid. And the person who's producing it getting paid. Right down the line aspect of it. And most of these folks who are actors and things of that nature, they're not the structured kinds of individuals. They're the ones that are just, so what, free living, free love, the whole 9-yard aspect of it. Those are the actors. So you don't have that responsible person in many ways.
No. They're looking for their next paycheck as much as Hollywood executives are looking for their next paycheck.
Exactly.
As long as the money keeps coming in,
that's right.
They're willing to portray whatever.
Yeah.
As long as there's a paycheck.
Right. So that discussion needs to be. We need to have those discussions like we're doing now. I mean, people need to. They need to have those tools, if you will, to talk to those things. And so, along that line, when you think about the elected process, those folks who are representing us to the big table, the large table in the D.C. area, and basically, and then a lot of our taxes from the federal taxes that goes in that pot, and then once that goes in that pot, they basically give it back to, if you will, to the respective states based on what they voted on in terms of what they thought were priorities.
Yeah.
And if you had a situation that you were able to get it to the top, well, boom, you benefit. And if you don't, guess what? You don't bring anything back to the state. And then there's politics there too. So that's a major issue that we need to bring to. But we need to recognize it, because now the voting process, and we'll talk a little bit more about that when we come up with this new form of government routine, which gives us that opportunity to do so.
There's ranked choice voting in the city of Portland. Is a nice idea, but it in its execution didn't go out the way that I think it was intended to go out. I think that ranked choice voting is a nice concept, but when you hardly know one of however many men or women that are on the ballot, how are you supposed to make an educated decision on who's going to elect you? I would love to spend hours and hours researching these candidates. No one has the time these days. We were talking with Bob last hour. When you have to work a 9 to 5, Monday through Friday, sometimes Saturday and Sunday too, you don't have the ability to do the research, to look into these people. And if we did have that ability to look into these people with our free time, or we weren't a part of a workforce that required us to devote all of our time and energy to making the machine continue to work, I think we'd be able to be more informed about who we're voting for. I think that the implementation of the ranked choice voting system was a little premature by the city of Portland. I don't think that people of, well, we read the Oregonian copy, people of color, minorities weren't as aware of ranked choice voting and the consequences of ranked choice voting as others like white individuals.
Right.
I think that definitely hurts the people who want to be involved in the process but are unaware of what they're voting for based on this ranked choice voting implementation.
And I might add, there was another piece that I brought up as a result of that, talking to the whole idea of the impact that it was having on certain cultures. But realistically, it was as if to say, because we utilized that process of saying, well, they're the ones that got the problem. so give me some more money so I can another business to do that piece. And saying, I'm saying that it was a problem for everybody.
It is.
You see what I'm saying? And so I'm just throwing that in there. That's because we're constantly being used. We talked a little bit about that race thing when we talked about that with Bob. We can't afford to do this anymore.
No.
We're all Americans, so to speak.
We are.
We got the stars and the stripes, and I'm a little worried about the deviation from what is this country? It's stars and stripes. Now everybody's bringing their own flags. You see what I'm saying? And then now there's English as a second language. You see what I'm saying? They're throwing those little things that doesn't anything to do but disrupt things. Because then people say, well, okay, fine, well, what do I do? How do I get this particular crop, if you will? Well, if I'm white, there's certain cultures over there. But if I'm black, I got certain cultures over here. And then some folks say, well, no, I'm just an individual. Got me? And then there's a culture here. And I mean, well, how many? We got about 100 or so cultures running around this.
It's supposed to be a melting pot.
Yeah.
Right? That was the whole idea.
But at the end of the day, though, you pick up.
Everybody's segregating into their own little communities.
Exactly. That's what's happening now. Whereas before, like you said, it was design, if you will. Once you get out of the cookie jar or whatever, you're now another person across the board. And you should take the best of your culture and bring it to this new area that you live in and try to implement the best ideas. That was the whole idea of the American dream, right? You bring what's best from your culture and you leave the worst part of your culture, and then you build a new identity for this country. Right.
And it's not done anymore, is it?
It's not done. In fact, I started thinking about like you said, the melting pot aspect of it. The whole issue of affirmative action. Now they're saying they're going right back to the same situation, saying, okay, fine, we want to cut off this affirmative action stuff in the colleges. Got me?
Yeah. And
again, use the same deal about the minority deal, the blacks or whatever. But realistically, it's everybody, for that matter. Realistically, it's going to kill a lot of other folks, if you will. Because a lot of folks are not running down there. Well, wait a minute. I went down there and got certified as a minority. I'm a little whiter, but I got a different culture. So we got all these cultures. I say, well, maybe a solution to really get it down to the point where we say, okay, fine, we got a melting pot, but maybe we can this melting pot doesn't work too much. So what we'll do, if we got 100 cultures here, and each culture has a number, and that number we look at it from the standpoint of 100%. Once they've all come out the cookie jar, okay. And so from that on the money side, whatever percentage that culture is the one that picks up on that dollar. So if you start off with $1, everybody whatever your percentage is, that's the piece you have.
Okay.
And then you establish a committee to decide within your own culture who gets the piece.
Okay.
And normally that's the business of that routine. I said, well, maybe that might be a little bit more fairer, and we can get away from the other things. So if you got 10%, or you got like now we got the so-called white and black, they got the majority, and then you got the other entities that are out there. Some of them are still part of each one of them, depending upon what you want to do with yours, right?
Right.
You know what I mean? So I think that'll give it it'll be somewhat of interest. I just thought I'd throw that out there. Let's be fair with everybody.
It should be fair with everybody.
If we want to do the culture thing, okay, fine. You want to? I think about that when excuse me, at the presidential election, when Ms. Harris made it a point that she was an Indian. When people
she made it a point that she was African American. The Indian aspect never came up until President-elect Trump brought it up, right?
Right.
She was an Indian up until it didn't serve her best interest to be an Indian anymore. Then, Then she used the African American aspect.
Well, when she was picked, remember they did the piece with reference to the Democratic Party. She didn't have to go through the regular deal. Remember that?
No, that whole system. We had sitting President Biden, who was foisted onto that stage against Donald Trump, and he had this hoarse voice, and he made no sense. And the Democratic Party said, "We can't have this buffoon representing us anymore." They didn't want him to be the guy, so they said, "Okay, Kamala, you'll take his place."
We need a black woman.
You said it, not me.
I said it because it's real.
Yeah,
because it caused problems within the community, the African American community. So, but the bottom line is that I was looking at this thing in terms of how it all happened. And,
no one voted for her. That's the problem.
No, but the fact is she got picked.
She got picked.
You're
right.
Go through the normal process.
No, I mean, but look at the last when they chose Joe Biden to be their front runner in 2020, right?
Right.
She got what 1% of the vote, from the entire country.
That's right.
To be the Democratic nominee.
That's right.
And then she, they go away from her. They choose Biden, right? And then he becomes her vice presidential pick. But they hated each other.
Right. But she was recognized as an African American.
Yep.
Not an Indian.
No, not an Indian.
She was an African American because of the color of one's skin aspect of it. So then, as this process went along, every time somebody said, "Well, we can't say too much about her in a negative way," plus she's a woman, right? But there was a divide even with women across the board. But that didn't come out that way.
No.
See what I'm saying? It was just okay, fine. Everybody just sit back, and then all of a sudden, when she was actually picked as his vice president aspect of it, when she was picked, and that first announcement, you check it back, you can Google it. That first announcement, I'm looking at this there when she was basically saying, "Gee, thanks, blah blah blah. I'm an Indian, I'm an Indian, blah blah blah, blah blah." And so there was this big push because I had some friends who happened to be Indian. Basically said, "Gee, we're fine that we got something."
Yeah, let me pull it up right now. Yeah.
Yeah. So then after that, she basically was she went to an AKA, a sorority. She interviewed. Remember that interview? Mm-hmm. She did, and she interviewed with the president of the sorority, AKA, a black woman, very dark black woman, African American.
Well, here on this article, it says from Politico back in August 2020 that he selected Kamala Harris to be his running mate, and it says the first country named, so the daughter of immigrants from Jamaica and India.
Yeah, but they didn't push that when she raised her hand. See, the first entity that she identified with was the AKA.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, also know. Yeah,
there was a visual. See, a visual. Most people don't. They know that visual piece. There it was, and but see, I didn't see any fraternities. I didn't see any males there. You know what I mean? I saw I saw the sorority.
Yeah,
you got me. And I saw this black woman, and then there was no span on the audience at all. Okay, and then all of a sudden it was in, and because a lot of folks don't realize the flack that happened into the African American community, black community, because when you get out of that mix, that so-called melting pot, you became black.
Right.
Depending on color, it was cool, but the bottom line is that a lot of folks were concerned about the blacks, especially, who were still basically fighting for that blah blah blah, this that and the other. They said, wait a minute, she wouldn't have gotten here if she hadn't used me.
Yeah, and
that happened. And so a lot of the black males got a little offended. And then that PR came out. Said, well, gee whiz, big et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. See, but no one wants to discuss it. Well,
no, they don't want to discuss it because race is a taboo subject still today in 2024.
Well, there's no taboo with me.
No,
this is real world.
We got to have conversations like this.
Yeah, you got to have those conversations, and so because if the intent was basically a melting pot, that's what it is. And if we want to basically separate the various cultures accordingly, come up with something that satisfies. Like I threw that piece out about what percentage of each of the cultures were there, and when you start dividing the money to do business or whatever, you do it accordingly, and then it's 100%. No one can argue. So then you have to lobby within your own culture to either get picked, not the whole thing, or this, that, and the other, or be used. You see?
I mean, it honestly should just be the discussion that we're having. You know, we're talking about race, but it should be who's the best person to represent us all.
Right.
It shouldn't be based on the skin color that you were born with or the nationality that you come from.
But we got to get there. That's the key.
We got to get there.
That's what we're talking about. See, right?
We shouldn't be. Unfortunately, we shouldn't be where we're at in 2024. That's right. We should have been well past this.
That's right.
We should have been building this this group of like-minded individuals, or we don't have to be like-minded,
right.
but we have to be agreeable with one another and get along with each other, because we're all, like I said earlier, we're all just living on this place called Earth.
That's right. But the city father, remember now, the fathers, basically, I mean not the fathers, but our fathers. Well, the country fathers way back when they put this whole piece together.
The founding fathers?
The founding fathers. The definition of being a part of that group, you had to own land.
Landowners, yes.
And in all due respect, and you had to own land and be white, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of times when you start thinking about the true history, when people start looking around, there were folks in that group, but they weren't sitting at the table.
Mm-hmm.
What we envisioned, and then that just became part and parcel of who you had to be.
Okay.
Because there were some blacks that basically owned land.
Yeah.
And slaves, if you will.
And slaves.
You see what I'm saying? But that didn't come into the discussion.
No.
And then as time went on, that's the way it went. Because the majority of the folks who basically owned land and folks who were working for them were white. Okay, they had white faces, but the other black, they had it over here. They had a better deal with the owner. Okay, so it's okay. But now here we are today. We have to have that discussion.
Yeah,
which is good. It's good for the country, for that matter, because if we don't have this entity, you don't have the rest of the country. Everybody's trying to get to the moon and create another and get
Mars.
Mars, and what you see, a rocket going up, but it has to come down.
Yeah.
And then you got to develop the. Well, I'm not going to be around during that time, but the fact of the matter is, that's what that's all about. That's what I see. That's what I envision, and a lot of folks think that way. But a lot of times we're not sitting at the table.
Right.
In the media, because it doesn't relate to the economics of it all. So this is a good little piece to open up the table on it, because we're having an election, and I think that's what that to me is what brings that as far as justifies my feelings about President-elect now, Donald Trump. He's that kind of a venture. I mean, the guy was he's an activist within his own ranks, as far as businesses and things of that nature. And he's basically, rather than stepping on the side and paying for things to come back his way, he's just saying, I'm gonna get right up front and start talking about this stuff. Mm-hmm. I'm a wealthy guy and this and that, and we make deals, but I want to improve this country. I mean, I'm just throwing something out and having a discussion.
I think he has, people will disagree with me, but I think he has the heart of the American people at the forefront of his mind. Mm-hmm. He's thinking about where we are 4 years after his first presidency, and where we were during his previous presidency.
Yes.
And he's he's not someone who will just let stuff go.
Yes, right.
He doesn't.
Right.
He doesn't let stuff go. He holds on to stuff.
Right.
And I think he saw what happened during this last presidency. Prices went up in a lot of goods. He saw that the middle class has suffered a little bit more, and he's decided, okay, let me see what I can do to help these people again. I'm excited to see him take office, but I'm also a little nervous. He has been generally hated by people on one side and starting to see hatred from people on the other side. He is not liked among a lot of the elected officials that we currently have in power.
Well, he's impacting power. He's talking to the whole issue of power.
That's something that we need to focus on.
And we got to focus on it.
Because when both sides are starting to say this guy is a menace, this guy is evil, he's looking into things that they don't want him to look into.
That's right. It's not power anymore with him. I mean, he's accomplished that.
He didn't have to run for president.
He didn't run he didn't run for dog catcher. The guy just went right up to the front of the line and said, "Hey, I'm running." And you know, a lot of people don't realize that when he first got out of the blocks, who did he identify with right up front? The blacks. Think about that. He had them all on TV. He had this sheriff. I remember this sheriff was always coming on the TV. He had these other folks, and it wasn't the same familiar faces that we were normally seeing from the black community in many ways. But he had these folks. He was basically saying the same thing. I remember the whole issue with the water issue in Michigan. I mean,
Flint,
I remember him going. He went down there. You know what I mean? That type. He got involved, and we forgot about that, Peter. I didn't forget about it. I saw it day one.
Before he was even elected president, he was honored by the NAACP for his helping people within the African American community. He was recognized for his along with other African Americans. He was recognized for his strides in helping that group. I don't think he cares about the color of your skin.
No. And then, now you bring it up to this other issue with reference to how he was treated once he got in there. And then the whole idea about now he was want to run the second round. All of a sudden, this whole issue of bringing him to the table and finding him guilty of this, that, and the other, all this stuff.
The justice system just went right off after him.
But now today, he wins the seat. And the same entity that basically said they did this and the other. Now Biden is pardoning these individuals before he leaves. Now, to me, if you didn't do anything wrong and you told the truth, why do you need to be pardoned?
Fair question.
Has anybody asked that question?
Well, let's just look at one of the people that President Biden decided to pardon, and that's his son, Hunter.
Oh, that's huge.
Remember, he said he wasn't going to do that.
That's right.
He said, I will not pardon Hunter.
That's right.
And last month, or was it the beginning of this month, on a Sunday, he announces that he's going to give Hunter Biden a 10-year pardon from 2014 to December 1st, 2024. Where did that come from? Just out of the blue. It basically allowing his son to get away with some of the things that normal American citizens could never get away with. One of which being lying on a 4473. That is a major, it's a criminal act, and it is a federally punished crime that goes with 10 years. And you lose the right to own a gun if you lie on a 4473. And Hunter Biden clearly lied on a 4473, but his father decided to pardon him from doing anything between 2014 and 2024. And it goes back to this little thing we call money. Hunter Biden brought a lot of wealth to Joe Biden's family.
Yes, yes. It's all recorded. It's all been laid out.
The guy was dumb enough to give his laptop to someone who repaired it and saw all of the problems that were on there. It's asinine.
Well, because of these discussions and things that are happening, things are going to change.
I sure hope so.
The new electorate, right up front with it, it wouldn't surprise me if, in fact, it's going to settle, and we're going to go back and take up the old way, and we're just going to continue on. Someone's going to get elected, and we'll start improving. I think the possibility his presidency will be extended again. That means that if a person is still talking to the platform, and he's the better candidate of anybody, guess what? He can get reelected, as far as I'm concerned, as long as he.
No, that would actually break the cycle. You can't. This will be his second and final term.
Right. Yeah, but the Supreme Court makes that decision. Remember?
Well, no. The Congress made that decision with FDR. Right. FDR ran and won 4 consecutive terms.
I'm agreeing with you.
I hope that our country does not decide to reelect President Donald Trump for a 3rd term, because that would be, in fact, illegal. And if the Supreme Court does make that an option, I worry, because we got rid of that with FDR after his 4 terms. And George Washington only ran for 2 terms because he felt that was the right thing to end after 2 terms.
But FDR was well liked. No one would have said anything about him.
All of the social programs that he implemented are the reason why he was well liked.
But he's about ready to die. He died. You know, I mean, had he been a healthy person or whatever, he'd been president another 4 terms. We never
Which
know.
is terrifying.
No, but still, I'm saying we can say that now.
Mm-hmm.
But during the time he was presidency, we were living real well. It was progressing, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, I'm just throwing this out this way. So I'm just saying we make changes based on whatever. So I'm saying because of what we're going through now, we've accepted. If in fact,
I would caution, I do not want that to happen. I want someone like President Trump, President-elect Trump.
Who?
Well, someone needs to step up and fill those shoes.
Who? See, you know, I keep saying who.
Yeah, you're right.
Most people are saying, I'm not running for nothing.
Well, he put it pretty simply in an interview in the 80s or 90s, that no one is treated well when they run for office.
Yeah.
They are treated poorly because of things that are going wrong.
Okay.
So no good man or successful man would want to run for office.
Well, I tell you what, this is a good time now to transition, because we're going to get into the next segment. Yeah. And hey, you can see we're having this discussion. Do the same thing. I mean, that's what it's all about. That's what this country's all about. Freedom of speech. You know, talk, communicate. But we gotta work on the issues that we're faced with today, and it's going to take us all working together.
Yes,
okay?
it will.
It's going to take us all working together. So again, thank you very much for being with us, and hopefully you'll look at the next show and share this show with some of your neighbors and whatever, and have the discussion. Have a good one. From John and Bruce, we say hi. See you next week. Good one, buddy. Sounds good.